How you doing? Grab a cup of coffee, sit back, relax and enjoy this ride into two of the best first-person shooter roguelites that has ever existed in this digital realm. But wait, before we dive into them, my name is, as always, good old Papa Slim, and my mission here is to hunt down the best first-person shooter games out there so that you don't have to do the hunting, but enjoy the playing, huh? Now, let's go. So today, my broskies, we are diving into Deadzone Rogue and Abyssus, both of which just released. And let me tell ya, both of these games are absolutely amazing. But I want to help you figure out which one is the better for you. So let me start by giving you some basic information on them. Deadzone Rogue was developed and published by Prophecy Games. Yeah, that is the same studio that tried to give us Tribes 3, but abandoned it. Finally, they released a full-fledged 1.0 roguelite experience, and it released into early access at first, but on the 11th of August, we got the whole experience. Now Abyssus, on the other hand, it dropped into 1.0 instantly, and it is developed by Double Moose Games, which is their first title, and published by the Arcade Crew. Now Abyssus dropped on the 12th of August, but it has more things coming to it for free. But I will touch on that a little bit later. Now I played both of these games for a couple of hours each, and I finished a full run in both of the games. I played them both in single player and in co-op, so I feel like I know enough about them to give you all the details that you need to figure out which one you should get first, or hell, both of them. Now both of the games have a very similar gameplay loop. They're room-to-room roguelites, which means that in a regular run you start in one room, clear that room of enemies or complete an objective to unlock the next room. And you do that, rinse and repeat until you finally reach the final room, and the run is then over. But to get to the end room, you have to put in the grind to unlock permanent upgrades to eventually become strong enough to be able to actually clear the last room. Or in this instance, kill the final boss, as both games' final rooms contain bosses. Now the two games, they contain a hub world where you gather with your co-op buddies and upgrade your character with the currencies you obtained from your last run. This here is where the games start to differ. Firstly, Deadzone Rogue feels a lot more rewarding here. Not only does it give you a lot more permanent upgrade options than Abyssus, but it also lets you pick up the currencies from the ground, as well as new and stronger armor pieces and weapons. It's a small detail, but it is one that is important for the grind to feel rewarding and making each run more unique than the other. Now the permanent upgrades in both games consists of your very traditional roguelite upgrades, increased weapon damage, increased health, and so on. But where Deadzone outshines Abyssus here is that the run-specific upgrades can also be permanently upgraded in the hub world, which gives Deadzone a whole new tab of upgrades to both grind for, feel rewarded with, and play around with. But on the other hand, Abyssus lets you hunt for secrets that are quite impressive and deep, and will also reward you with new weapons, grenades, skins and modifications to your existing weapons. So if you do put in the work and look for these secrets, that may even contain puzzles, then you might be rewarded in the end. But once found, it's no point going back to that secret ever again. So to make things even better, Abyssus put in about 150 challenges into the game, something Deadzone has none of. The challenges can be to kill 30 enemies with grenades while playing with the shotgun, or killing 15 enemies without reloading with the rifle, and everything in between. And what's even better is that once a challenge is completed, it will reward you with something similar as the hunting for secrets. But there is yet another aspect to the Deadzone grind, and that is the side missions. Usually the grind consists only of going into the main run and playing as far as you can before dying and restarting. And that's exactly how it is in Abyssus right now. But in Deadzone there are side missions that alters the gameplay. It can be a mission that changes the enemy types and only lets you play with snipers, or a horde-based mode where you defend yourself in one single room, wave after wave. Now these alternate missions are perfect to grind if you're not strong enough to finish the main run. And while these types of missions are coming to Abyssus as free DLC, see, they are not here yet and they don't have a date as to when they will arrive. In the end, the actual Deadzone grind was more fun to me, but the Abyssus grind will last for longer. Having modifications to your weapons that are game changers that you can actually grind for really makes me want to jump back in, even though I finished a full run. While in Deadzone, after I finished a full run, the only grind left is to unlock all of the permanent upgrades, and that's about it. That doesn't motivate me as much as grinding for something that could be completely game changing. Now let's talk a bit about the combat and the weapons. Both games, they feel great in their respective way, but while one focuses on a few weapons, the other focuses on big variety. So in Abyssus, there are 8 different weapons that plays extremely different from one another, each of which has alternate fire modes, about 6 modifications each, including the standard issue. They can all be unlocked and both alter the guns visually and how they behave. The coolest part here is how much each weapon differs from one another. It feels like you have a ton of variety even though you only have 8 weapons. However, once you picked your loadout, there is no changing it in the run itself. You are locked to the weapon and grenade that you picked. And in Deadzone, there are a whopping 30 different weapons where not each gun feels quite as different as the other. I mean, a rifle is a rifle with slower or faster firing rates. But in the end, it didn't feel like it mattered all too much which rifle I had on me. If I wanted to play with rifles, well, then the way that you play with rifles is the same, no matter the firing speed. But here's the real kicker. You have a secondary as well in Deadzone. And I love, as an example, to combine a long-range weapon with a short-range one, which is very much possible here. And all of them can be changed mid-run. If something better drops mid-run, well, you're free to pick it up and use it as you please. Which brings a new level of unknowing excitement and variety throughout the run itself, thus also helping with making the grind more fun. Now, enemy-wise, I would say that both games are on par with each other. Both have great enemy variety with enemies that challenges you in different ways and requires you to learn their moveset to be efficient in combat. Both games have bosses, but hands down the bosses in Abyssus are way more cooler. They offer more depth with mechanics, cool arenas and just overall a more wow feeling to them. But the audio design and animation work on the weapons, well, they're better in Deadzone. As an example, doing headshots has a very satisfying cling to it, and that is simply something Abyssus doesn't come close to. So while killing bosses is more satisfying in Abyssus, killing regular enemies is more satisfying in Deadzone. And then we have the rooms that the combat will actually take place in. Now, both of the games have handcrafted rooms throughout the entirety of the game. There is no procedural generation, more than randomization as to what order these rooms will appear in. Deadzone Rogue takes place in space on a spaceship that's been overtaken by a weird bioform. The story is told throughout the run, but the biomes, the environments and the rooms, well, they're mostly the same throughout. Dark, very metal, with a touch of body horror. And in Abyssus, the variety goes wide and far. I told you there are secrets to discover, puzzles to solve, different environments to experience, and we go from Atlantis-looking temples to straight insane jaw-dropping environments like this. Oh, look at this motherfucking place. Oh, red and white go so well together. So while Abyssus has a ton more variety, jump pads and more advanced levels, they're also hindered a bit with water everywhere. Whereas if you fall into the water, you lose a portion of your health, and this in return makes the movement not flow as much as in Deadzone, but it does require more skill to manage it. Now, there are more things about these games than just this, more things that we could dive into, but the goal of the video was to cover the basics, to help you figure out which one you should jump into first. Either way, both of them are incredibly high quality and will offer hours upon hours of fun. And if you're into roguelites, yeah, you're in for a wild freaking ride, broskis. And worth mentioning again is that Abyssus has more varied missions coming, plus 2 new biomes and weapons that will all drop for free to anyone who owns the game. But unfortunately, there is no date as for when this will drop. Now, I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and remember, if you did, hit that like and subscribe for a ton more first-person shooter games. And Papa Slim, he will see you in the next one. Over and out, broskis.